Welcome to Obstacle Running Adventures.
I wonder if they would have blocked Hobie Call if Hobie Call would have decided last minute, hey, I want to, do the World Championship race.
That would have been awesome right after his Hall of Fame induction. No, you can't race.
Mm-hmm. Right?
That would have been cool. Who knows? You can't even guess, right?
Yeah, I didn't know that. Now I'm upset for Nicole because they did it for John.
And I imagine they're using the excuse that John's championship was it probably a year before, whereas Nicole's is 2 years. I'm just guessing that maybe that was their reasoning.
But think, too, they also screwed John, too, that year when they made him go do that ultra last minute to be in the running for the $1 million at Ultra World Champions.
And what did that do? It made him perform worse at the World Championship, and it killed the storyline of the World Champ. Like, they shot themselves in the foot with it, and I don't know. Why in what world do you not want Nicole Miracle on the start line of a World Championship?
No world whatsoever.
No, makes no sense to me.
So this event's been going on for a while. Has it always been paired up with Mentor as like a charity?
Yeah, so Laid Back Fitness has been our partner since its inception. The first couple of years we just went in the water, and then Ryan McGowan from Laid Back, of course, the Ninja King, we shall we say, decided he wanted to try this. And the first year I was just so nervous about it, incorporating all this stuff, I didn't go in. But now it's good. We know what we're doing. Yeah, he has it down to his system, and at noon I'll be jumping in. Not the obstacle course, just jumping in.
And what do you think about the turnout and everything today?
Today, actually, our turnout is the highest that we've had pre-registered to date. So, yeah, we're well over 100 pre-registrants, and we have people coming up registering, even some people that just happened to be down here and saw it and was like, oh, wow, we really want to do this.
Love that.
So, yeah, it's really cool.
Just like the training for a powerlifter is entirely different than for a runner, it's just different things.
And again, if this stuff was easy, everyone would be doing it. It's turning those subconscious or unconscious thoughts into consciousness, and that awareness it's tough, but I'm trying to be better with it. Absolutely.
Well, I would say if you're trying to be better with it, then you are being better with it,
right?
Because without the try as a category of soft talk, let me ask you this: odds of me doing this, I think that maybe one day, perhaps I might go to the gym next week, maybe. No, shit ain't happening, right?
Yeah.
Versus, I will go to, like this. It's just a different word. So if you're trying to do something, you have the awareness that it's important, and it might not be all the time, but you actually are doing that thing.
When I started out, I hated running, but now I love running. I'm part of the Danish national trail running team as well. So, so I've really developed there, but that's also because I went just mental and just ran all the time because I wanted to be good at it, because I knew that it was important. So I actually love the old Spartan concept with the beast and the super and more mountainous areas. I don't really like the new concept with the 3K because for me it's just very stressful in a way, and it's a long travel. I even considered I wanted to go to the States this spring to do some Spartan races and just to train with all the cool people I know, but it doesn't really. I don't really want to go just for the 3K series because it seems so short and there's a lot of money to spend on doing something that's maybe not. And the funny thing is, it would be way easier for me to train for that in a flat country like Denmark. But it's just, it doesn't really spark my fire the same way as the mountain does. So
Night Ops was definitely unique. It was a lot of fun. So, there's Night Ops Challenge, which is 90 minutes to see how many laps you can do. And that's what I did. There's also an ultra version. So 4 hours, see how many laps you can do. So it was about a 1 mile loop. And I don't know, there was maybe 15 or so obstacles on it. And there's some penalties if you don't complete the obstacle. But yeah, it's pitch black at night with headlamps. Luckily, it wasn't that cold. We've had a pretty mild winter. I think it was only 25 degrees. But the ground was not frozen because it had been a lot warmer. So there actually was a significant amount of mud and water crossing, big puddles and streams and stuff. So your feet did get wet for sure. So it was a lot of fun. And again, I haven't been running the last 2 months. I've started running now. But again, I was just kind of taking the off season to get my IT band not as mad at me. And so I think I've been successful at that. But
New York bridges will sneak up on you in a very, very strong way. And that makes you kind of double over and say, I don't know that I really want to do this. But every time you cross the finish line, it's like amnesia.
Do you ever have any like mantras to kind of push you through places like that?
Actually, make it happen. Just something, nice and simple. Just doesn't matter how. Crawl if you have to. Make it happen.
Make it happen. That's a good one. And describe some of these patches.
So I tried to I designed patches that are stickers that turned into flags in order to commemorate all of the coolest icons for each race, including the race route, some of the skylines, certainly the country flags for U.S. runners where it's international, and of course the unicorns of Boston, race elevation, anything that makes it an icon.
And what are your thoughts on how the expo is going?
I think it's awesome. This has been an incredible event.
That's what I enjoy as well. And I think when I started, the reason I started filming myself is because I couldn't find the everyday runners on social media. They were there, but they're not easily found. Like the first things that come up with running are marathon runners, very fast, elite. So I think for me, I just wanted to post and then hope that I would attract average runners, which I did, thankfully. I feel like I have a million friends. And then the surprising thing to me was also attracting elite runners, or like professional, that can also relate to like Team Struggle Run and what it is like to have a bad run, you know? So that was surprising.
So I don't remember whose idea it was originally, but the passport is a card and it's got every vendor and sponsor logo on it. And what the guests do is that as they go around to visit all the tables and talk to all the people, they can get it's like a bingo card. They get it checked off. And if they get that entire card checked off, then they get additional raffle tickets for all these prizes. And then now this year, we're also thinking about passport card itself will become a raffle ticket. And we're probably going to give away a couple races for Spartan or Tough Mudder with that as well. And it's great for the vendor and sponsor side because it encourages and incentivizes everybody to get around to every table. So it's just a win-win for all. It's just a fun thing to do that adds more value to the event.
Almost all adventure races have at least 3 disciplines. They have a trail running or trekking component, and it is completely acceptable to trek, you just walk the trail running part. That happens all the time. Or to do a mixture of jogging and running or whatever. The ultra shuffle is very popular, where you're just kind of moving just barely faster than walking.
I'm pretty good at that.
Yeah. That's a skill everybody picks up early. It has a mountain biking segment. Okay. And sometimes you're on the road as well, but you are definitely doing off-road biking. And depending on the race, some races you can get away with a hybrid bike or gravel bike, but some you can't. That's something varies race by race. And then there's generally a paddling segment where you are doing kayaking or canoeing or floating, whatever.
After you finish Helix, you went right to the shooting station. So what I did was I kept on shooting rapidly until eventually hit. The guy found me on his holster, said, go. Had to put the gun back in the holster and then run to the finish line. But we had to do that 3 times. So we just had them going and going and going.
Yeah.
The shooting, like I couldn't see it light up because it was a lot further than the training. But I was just going off what the guy said. He said, go. I went. Because maybe they're hearing something that we're not hearing because we're in the zone. Mm-hmm. Especially at a jacked up heart rate. Trying to shoot something, try to focus. It was hard. But then after a couple laps of that, it kind of got very used to be able to slow down and shoot and go.
So do they have like one volunteer? How many volunteers did they have at that station?
They had 4. So what they did was probably 10 minutes before the event started, they gathered everyone around.
Well, I can speak from my own personal experience. If it wasn't for the Oscar Mike Foundation and my son, I probably wouldn't be here. So I was very lucky to find the Oscar Mike Foundation in 2017, and it saved my life. So that's what's made my mission and my passion about being with this foundation, to help anyone else that I can along their journey to transition back home.
Pay it forward, right?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
So do you have any experience in obstacle course racing too, on like the civilian side?
Civilian side, I never ran one up until I got with Oscar Mike. I've got well over 100 of them under my belt right now, and every single one of them is with an adaptive athlete just about. My passion isn't necessarily a personal goal. It's seeing the look on an athlete's face and a wounded veteran who didn't think they could do that anymore, finish that race, and the change that you see in them and their motivation for them to continue their drive to continue to be better.
How are you enjoying your time at the expo so far?
Oh, it's fantastic. It's a great time, great atmosphere. We're loving it here, yeah.
I know it was a little bit more structured last year where it's like a few must attend, and I think there were only 2 that were optional, whereas this is a lot more loose. So is that another result of feedback from the athletes too?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, we learned that quite a few people were like, hey, I wanted to do the point series, but I couldn't make this one mandatory race. So the whole thing is out the window.
Right.
And it's like, well, geez, that's kind of a bummer. So we really wanted to be able to reach out to them and be like, hey, this is for you. This is something you can do on your time and your schedule.
And it also benefits you guys too, because like if an awesome elite can't come to your race, that's X amount of less viewers on your race that you want to get as many as possible. So it makes sense to listen to feedback, but again, not all feedback.
Yeah, I mean the pros for sure are amazing because not only do they push for innovation, they drive the excitement for the sport, but they're also the ones going home and telling other people about it.
Chris and Alex are great athletes, so I knew they would be tough. So I was really trying to work to catch them. And at one point, Christy McFarland, she's one of my team members, she caught up to me and passed me. And I thought, oh no, I love her and I want the best for her, but I didn't want her to pass me. So we had a little bit of a battle, and we actually kind of tend to have a little battle back and forth when we're with each other. I think we're pretty similar sometimes. So we always joke how no one ever sees our battles because they happen in the woods. But we kind of went back and forth a little bit. She got ahead of me. And so I was really trying to keep up with her. And I think the couple of obstacles we were pretty neck and neck. And then we got to sling ring and we were both there. It took me 2 tries because the first try I got it, but I was standing on the wood and
really zoom out and look at the whole picture in hindsight. When you're in those moments, those lows, like before the Olympics in 2012, in 2017, just kind of sitting on the sideline, contemplating if I had a future in running, that feels like the end of the world. And the same thing on the polar opposite side with the victories, where it's like you have these big breakthroughs, these great performances, like I'm unstoppable. Like this is going to be onward, upward for forever. This feeling is going to last forever. And, in doing this project, you kind of look at it big picture, and the valleys aren't that low. They aren't as low as you thought in the moment. And the peaks are really not that high either. They're temporary, and you want to be pretty close to the middle baseline as soon as possible so that you don't think that those are your new world, just because you've achieved or failed in one moment.
We're all here. Everybody has a lot of excuses, but if you're going to come to compete. And that's what I'm really proud of Sean. Sean he's learning. The kid is ridiculously fast. He did really well in Georgia. He took it to Ryland, took it to everybody else who came up. And this weekend, he whooped me, he whooped BJ, he whooped Lee, he whooped us all. I did everything I could to hang on with him. So I think it just comes to recognizing and acknowledging what it is. The sport is different. It's actual obstacle course racing, and give credit where credit's due. And on top of that, I think I've done some talking about the USA OCR.
Right.
And again, the reason why I'm discussing this in pair with Savage is, people heard me talk already. You can talk to Ian Hosick about this, but with USCR, there's a national team. There's a world championship in Belgium. Okay.
I'm really going to miss this race though. This is like my first forego into like ultra OCR stuff, and I love this race. Like I love the community, love the people.
It's amazing to think that like it all started here to get to like Spartan Ultra World Championships. Like what are the performances? Like that's amazing.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna miss this. I had a great time.
So you've been a big supporter of Fit Challenge for a long time. What have been some of your favorite Fit Challenge memories?
Oh man, it's too many. Well, I mean, the first time when I did the multi-lap, I was looking around. I'm like, wow, there's actually a lot of really good ultra athletes here. And then when
back in the day and stuff.
Oh yeah, they announced my name at the end. Like when I'm like, holy crap, that's awesome. I was like just starting out with elites and stuff, and yeah, that was probably one of my favorite memories. But honestly, it's too many. Yeah.
And what's some words you want to say to Rob McCoy?
Thanks, Rob. We all love you. Thanks for starting this. for making this one of the best experiences with local OCR, and we're going to miss you.
Before the final starts, he goes and he names 8 of the 9 guys and not me, because they're all like known guys. And so that kind of, that illustrated how intimidated I was to kind of be there at the end with all of them. And then they figure it out later, but definitely intimidating.
Yeah, for sure. It obviously sounds like you'd recommend this 3K. What would you say to athletes that were like sitting on the couch and watching? What would you say to kind of get them into the series?
I don't think it's for everybody. Like, I do recommend it, but like, I think it's good that we have in the sport, we have different options and different time domains to train for. Like, you could do the really long stuff, like World's Toughest Mudder. You could do the kind of middle stuff, like the Savage races, and then you could do the short 3K stuff. And so I think like it's good that we have different things for different people that like to do different things. Yeah. If you're someone who likes to run fast and have the like super intense stuff, then this is fun for that.
That penalty loop I did was uphill through like roots and horrible terrain, super long. I was like, come on, this is way longer than 3 times the amount of time. And so that put me back a lot again. We got to beat her at the same time, finally like touched base with him. And then he puts another 45-second gap on me. And then I was like, oh, well, at this point, I don't think I'm going to see you for the rest of the race. I got second locked up here. And we get to like mile 6, which is supposed to be a super, it's like 6 miles, but it was a little over 7. We get to mile 6 and I see him up ahead. I was like, oh, I can actually potentially reel him in. So start to pick up the pace a little bit more. We get to the bucket carry, pick up bucket at the same time. He drops it a couple seconds ahead of me, gets a little bit more of a gap. And then we get to Herkoist and I hear the announcer guy as I'm going up the rope that he was having trouble with Herkoist and he's going to take the penalty loop. And I was like, oh boy, well, now we're going to see if I can do the Herkoist, which is the thing I was worried about the entire time.
Yeah, the course is really a fun course. What we tried to do is take the terrain of the university. So the university has a lot of rolling hills and open fields, has a pond on campus. Then it's also got about half of the campus actually wooded with just some trails back there. And we've been expanding the trail system over the last couple of years. So the first third of the course and the ending of the course is sort of out in the open campus area. And we jump right into the pond and do a number of obstacles that involve water. Then we start going into some more endurance and strength obstacles, log pulls and tire flips and log carries and that type of thing. And then we head up into the trails and into the woods, which is just a blast back in there. Tarzan swings and rope climbs and cargo net climbs, vertical climbs and incline climbs and log walls.
Yeah, the point system is a fun thing. It's not overly complicated. There is some nuance to it, though. The applications are due May 22nd, so 11 days from when we're recording now. And the reason we did that date is because we wanted it the weekend following Spartan Big Bear as well as Savage Maryland, because we put those at the top of the main races to score as the max amount of points. So Spartan, the 3 kilometer, obviously is how you would get the max amount of points. I believe that's 1st through 3rd. I would have to check the document. I can if you'd like. And then Savage Race Maryland to get max points would be to win the race, get 1st. And then just below that is the 2nd highest points you would get. I think that's like 2nd through 5th. So those are the races we've targeted because we feel they best exemplify what we'll see in Belgium for obstacle course racing world championships from World Obstacle. And those will showcase the athlete's abilities to succeed on those courses in September.
It went out. There was not very many obstacles through the opening mile. There was a solid group of guys right up front. Ryan, Joe, who got 2nd, Michael Suazo was up there. The Marquez twin. There was a whole group, and it slowly started to string out. And then we hit Sawtooth early on, which was really wet. And I came into that in 2nd, right behind Ryan, and I didn't feel like I got through it that quick, but I came through kind of clear of the field. And then Ryan caught back up to me, but then there was another, it was like barn door wall that was in water. And he kind of slipped off that for a second. And then I was out front by myself for a little bit, knowing that he was going to be coming back to me. And then it was like the misty rain. It was wet. I slipped off of.
We need everybody. We don't need just like 3 good people to show up,
take the prize money and go home. Like, that's not going to be interesting. Like, we need people to show up. And I remember, hearing someone after the first heat, there's someone who's very good, who's been doing this for a long time, was like, that wasn't even fun. She goes, I don't even want to make the final. And this is not a negative person, but this is just someone being honest. And this person flew out to do the race and was probably expecting to get to do the final. And so my concern for the sport in general is that there will be people who will say, wait, why did I fly out, miss work, and fly out to this race to do a 1K or 2 1Ks and then not make the final and then go home? Julie Best missed the final by 1 second. She was third place last.
Yep.
So if you're Julie Best, are you going to come to the next race? I don't know. I'm just saying this theoretically. I actually don't know for all that well.
Who would you recommend Goliathon for?
I'd recommend Goliathon for literally anybody. I mean, it's very inclusive. G1, G2, G1, you can get help. Anyone can do it. There's parents out there that are like, oh, I will go and watch my kid. Do it with them. It's so much fun. It's a good family. I mean, it's a bonding experience too. It's just a day to get out of the house, do some obstacles, have some fun with like family and friends. And really, like, the athleticism isn't the biggest, like, that should not be your concern if you're on the fence and you're like, oh, I don't know if I can go that far. I don't know if I can do the obstacles. That really should not be the concern, because just the way it's set up is anyone can do any obstacle, really.
Like you said, you can just walk it, like game time for the obstacles. And after that, like, walk some more, laugh at the person that fell in the water. And it's a good time.
Yeah.
I've heard really good things about Savage, but I didn't know exactly what to expect. And like, I would say from the moment I got to the venue till I left, it was just flawless. Like, the whole thing was run so well. I was there with my niece and nephew who are 3 and 5, and we did the junior race, and awesome. It was a blast. Like, we did 1 lap and they're like, all right, we're going again. And we ended up doing like 3 or 4 laps of the kids race. So I was exhausted by the end of the day. But it was so well run, so much fun. The obstacles were really great. Like, I have nothing bad to say about Savage. It was like an awesome experience for sure. Yeah. I want them to come west. Like, I think they'd do so well out here. It'd be really cool.
I was so extremely nervous. So a 3K race is such a fast race that anything can happen. Basically, you can either go first place or you become 5th or 6th or not even make it to the podium. And I know the competition in that race is really strong. You've got guys like Leon Kovert from Denmark, the Russian guy Sergey, but also Jonas, also from Denmark. There's so many good guys who are very efficient in the and fast in the obstacles. And last year I won, so the bar was set really high.
Yeah.
So the day before the race, I have this little notebook. I wrote down what my plan was, what my race strategy was, and I wrote down minute by minute. And I wrote down 8:30 start, 8:46 European champion, and I got it right within 40 seconds.
That's amazing.
And I come off Colossus, and as I'm hitting the water, I hear something about second place. Like, here comes the gator roaring out, and all of a sudden they say something about second place, and I'm like getting out of the water. And I kind of got a little adrenaline rush because I was like, did they say second place was right there? I was like, I didn't know I was that close. I'm pretty sure I was like 5 minutes behind them. Like, their running is just so much better. And then I come to the rig and, oh my gosh, my like heart sank for my friend. But then I also got this adrenaline rush going, holy cow, you got to make it on your first try. Like, everything in the rig, I was like, you have to make it on your first try. Because I realized sitting at a rig, you don't usually get better sitting at a rig. Like, Alex is so strong, so eventually she got through it. That's not typical. When you're stuck there for like 12 tries, I don't know. I knew myself I was not strong enough to sit there for 12 tries. So I was like, whatever you do, don't let go. Fight through everything you can, because if you slip off, it's not going to be pretty the next few tries.
And what is your background in obstacle course racing?
Not very extensive. I joined Noob Sanity when I was 49 years old. So 3 years ago, this is my 3rd year. So I was very new to the sport. I couldn't even lift a rec bag. Ryan Brizolar is my coach. So the first time I was up there, he would lift it for me and stick it on my shoulders. And then on my first ravine lap, Jarrett actually lifted me across the creek crossing. So I was like super green, super new, zero experience. But then in the course of the 3 years, with Ryan as my coach and Jared and the support of everybody at Noob Sanity, I've come a long, long way. So yeah, and I love it there. It's super fun, and managed to pull out a win.
So walk me through, you were given notice that the building you're renting is going to be sold on July 12th. So when were you given that information? What was the timeline like there?
Well, it was extremely short. I don't own the largest of the equipment. I'm currently in negotiations to purchase it outright right now. I'm not sure where that's going to land. I may have to start over completely, which would be a real bummer. So, I mean, that said, I was told, given the option to entertain into buying the equipment a week before any official notices were put out. But even that was, hey, I know you were interested in buying into the equipment. We should start talking about that. Not hey, I'm selling the building in a month, and everything needs to be out. So I had about a week or so, and then an actual, oh wow, this is happening.
I mean, I felt pretty confident with it. I knew that it was definitely very doable. Objectively, the obstacle really wasn't that bad. It was the weather conditions that made it tough. And I said that beforehand. I was like, doesn't look that bad. But with the rain and, just how wet it was going to be pretty tough. But I don't know. I didn't really think about the other competitors. I just, treated it like any other obstacle. I just went through it. And I definitely had to use my legs heavily to really hold myself onto those vertical objects. But yeah, I just kind of moved through one after the other. And once you get to those last rings, you're like, okay, I'm all good.
So how did it feel to earn your place on a podium with two really incredible OCR athletes?
Right. It was really cool. It was definitely exciting.
Lindsay Webster from Sutton, Quebec.
Welcome back to OCR.
Thank you. Yeah, I missed it.
How's it feel?
It feels really good. Like, I missed my family here. I missed the obstacles a lot. So yeah, I was having just like such a blast that first lap, being out in the gunk again and doing carries and stuff. Yeah.
Palmerton too. Lots of fun history here. Like, how does it feel to take on like a different kind of like a 3K format? What do you think about it?
Yeah, I loved it actually. It's like more tiring and challenging than you would think. The wait between all the laps, it kind of like by the time the last one rolled down, I was like, man, I'm tired. I need some like caffeine or something which I didn't have, but it would have been nice. Yeah.
So what made you take on this event? I know your other house is pretty close to here, right? Is that what?
Yeah, it's like 8-hour drive, which is within reason. I guess it's really nice not to have to fly somewhere. And then we just love Palmerton. Like, yeah, like you said, there's a lot of like kind of, I guess, Spartan history here. I always love the courses here. So
the truth is, Savage Race is different than Spartan Racing. Both are different than OCR Worlds, and everything we do over here is different than what they do in Europe. So we put different things on pedestals rather than giving everybody their right due, Just like we used to always say, oh, there's only one world champion, or this person. People are good at certain things, and just build them up rather than beat them down.
And what do you have planned for the rest of the year?
I don't believe in world obstacle, but I've shared this before, but I want to go compete against the European athletes. I'm not really stoked on the prize money at OCR Worlds and racing at altitude. It's just expensive to get out there. I never do well racing on the West Coast. And Sean's going to Texas the same day, so, that's something. I think I committed to the Savage Race, and, I think I like racing Sean. And I know people will think I'm ducking, but I hope after coming out today, they realize I'm not ducking. I'm just, we pick certain things to do and go after them.
I have to really look at like life experiences. I never thought that when I made that change in 2020, that obstacle course racing would literally take me like halfway around the world. But I had the incredible opportunity to get to go over and compete in Hannibal race. And I was able to do that with my teammate, Evan Preparis. I know, you guys know Evan. And I was able to go and, represent the US and compete as a female athlete there. And I made the trip over. I've never spent any time in the Middle East. So I was able, I went over to Kuwait. I was there for a couple of days, was able to meet the build crew and the team and, a lot of the athletes. And this had actually been their first race back since COVID. Okay. And so it was really neat to see the OCR community there. It was just the experience of a lifetime, not just in traveling and culture and being able to see this, beautiful Kuwait city and, a part of the world that I'd never been, but really meeting kindred spirits, because it's like we all speak this same language in OCR.
And it was a great performance. The live feed was good. I was glad I was able to watch that. We talked a little bit about your competition there. One of the reasons why I wanted to have you on the show specifically was because there was a lot of people saying like, oh, there's no one there. There's no one there. And I think while there is an issue of dealing with lack of competitors, I think it's important to focus on the people that are there. So do you feel like you're not getting the respect that you deserve simply because you live in Mexico?
That's an interesting one. No, y hablando de la carrera, ¿no? Y de lo que pasó, ¿no? De que vimos que no había tanta competencia de Estados Unidos y demás, y no es por hacer menos también el trabajo de los que sí estuvieron y ustedes. O sea, había un nivel de mexicanos de los mejores elites, obviamente, y hay gente muy rápida y muy buena. ¿Tú crees que...
Great Games, this was their 6th year running it, and this was also my 6th year winning it. So I have run every year so far and managed to win every time.
That's pretty awesome. So we're going to get into the events in a little bit, but if someone asks you about like what are the Grit Games, how would you explain it?
I think the Grit Games is kind of the ultimate test of the OCR athlete. It's very specific to OCR strength, speed, just kind of ability. But I think what's neat about it is that it kind of breaks down everything that's needed to be a good OCR athlete and tests you separately on each of those. So you can't have any holes in like, well, I'm not great at obstacles, but I run fast so I can burpee through them all. Like, well, you're not going to do that great at the Grit Games. It's very different events that test different things, but it's one of those, somebody at the top of their game would do well at this, I guess. Right. But you have to be at the top. You have to have kind of all the bases covered to do well here.
It was last year after I'd done Go Ruck Games. I really loved that event, Go Ruck Games. And I was just kind of curious, like what other type of events were out there that were kind of similar. And I saw last year that Grit Games happened like a few months later, and I just looked at the format and thought it looked really fun. Something that was right up my alley. There's 4 events, I think, last year. They had similar format. One event that's pretty much a bunch of heavy carries, which is one part of obstacle racing that I've always loved. And it looked like a legit heavy carry circuit. Like Spartan over the years has kind of gotten a little bit easier with their heavy carries. So it was really cool to see like, okay, yeah, they're doing like 90-pound buckets. They're doing 100-pound sandbags. They're doing all this heavy stuff. So I was like, yeah, okay, that sounds amazing. That event alone looked exciting. And then the speed workout with a bunch of burpees, I knew would be a good just overall test of work capacity and fitness. So I've been training a bit more for hybrid stuff.
It is a little disappointing to kind of, get to races and not see as many women. I do, miss, I've run West Virginia, right, for example, when it was like a world championship race and there were just large heats of both men and women. And I do really miss that. I think there's been a couple times where, there's been maybe almost 15 girls, which is rare. I'd love to get more. I know with the age group too, it sort of, separates people a little bit who maybe would have run elite, are competing in age group, which is awesome. that's a great opportunity. It just sort of also is hard because it takes away from the elite heat. So yeah, it's a tough thing.
It is. Well, and there's 2 ways of looking at it. One is like, oh, the elite side is dead. And the other way is like, well, there's still people doing it. So like, I come from the point of view of like, these are the people I want to hear from. Like, good for you guys for still doing this and not just doing age group, which there's nothing wrong with age group. But
how is the experience of Bone Frog compared to the Empowered Obstacle Barn experience? Like, was it similar?
He stepped it up.
He did.
This was a new level. Like, empowered races were fun, but they spent a lot of time and money on these new rigs, really calculating it out to see like who can get through this. There's always been penalties in the empowered races, but like, yeah, this was next. I would say a next level thing that they just put their heart and soul in and made this incredible event. I always just I don't get tired too easily from rigs and races sometimes, and I'm like, dude, this is pumping me out. This means it's a good race.
What kind of rigs did they have?
It's like, it's not the rigs themselves. It's just like you have so many upper bodies in a row that it tires you out.
And then what were your goals for the race? Was your goal to win or?
So, of course, I have the mindset of winning, but last year I got fourth place Spartan World. So,
okay,
this year was just to get better than fourth place, just to get on the podium.
Mm-hmm.
So, I was very happy that I got first, especially since it was such a close race. I'm very happy that I got first, especially since last time I got fourth. So it was a big step up.
Absolutely. How do you think the race this year was different than your race last year that you were able to climb from fourth place up to first place?
They messaged me and they're like, "Hey, you scream a lot at the races and you're a theater kid and you've done movies and stuff. Do you want to be our announcer?" And I was like, "That's literally the only job I've ever wanted here. So yeah, let's do this."
That's awesome.
I was their announcer, lead announcer for years, 2012 to 2017. Well, I quit in 2016, but I got asked to come back because they couldn't find anyone to fill the positions in summer of 2017. And so it was one of my friends who called me who was in charge of setting that up, and he was so stressed. And I did not want to go back, but I'll do anything for my friends, especially if they're struggling. So yeah. I was like, "For you, buddy, you got it. 3 months, I'm back." And yeah, but I've worked with other races as well. Bone Frog, Savage Race. Yeah, terrain race. I was hired as part of the development team to completely rebrand and restructure the entire company. And
è un sogno.
It's a dream.
È un grandissimo onore.
A great honor.
Saper di partire nella prima batteria al mondiale.
Just the fact of being in the same wave, at the start line.
Il mio desiderio prima.
My wish from the start.
Era arrivare con una maglia e farmela firmare da tutti i partenti con me.
Was to get my jersey signed by all of the big athletes.
Ma poi avevo pensato che in pre-gara non era una grande idea.
He thought, well, maybe let's just wait for the race to finish. It's probably not the right moment to be asking for signatures.
È stato fantastico correre con i migliori al mondo, perché mentre facevo questi mesi tapirulan, vogatore, spinning bike, ho sempre guardato i loro video per prendere motivazione e ispirazione.
Okay, so it was such an honor to be able to compete with the biggest, the best athletes of OCR, because during these last months, killing myself on the treadmill, on the spinning bike, on the rower, all of this training, he used to watch videos of their races and be inspired and say, I want to be like them.
But my feeling is like we've put in a lot of hard work on this. It's at a place now where it needs somebody else with more firepower to kind of look after it. I feel like I've taken it as far as I possibly can, and nobody ever believes me when I tell the story. But there was like a very distinct moment, even back at Blue Mountain in Canada. It was either 2016 or 2017, where I was walking across the mountain right above the mini golf course that was there for anybody else that remembers the event, with Garfield, who is the race director actually coincidentally for this year. He said, "What's your plan for this thing?" And like, no BS, I straight up said, "I don't feel like I'm the long-term owner of it. Like, I think I basically am the keeper of it, like custodial ownership of it, but eventually it should be passed on to somebody else that can bring it to the next level."
I made a move and caught up to Ryan kind of on the last climb without the knowledge or with the race brain thinking, oh, the race is going to be over soon, when in reality there was still like 1.5 miles to 2 miles left. And that cost me a little bit. So we were neck and neck. And then he just kind of put that last minute into me, having done that. I think I could have made a lot more exciting course or race had I done that 10 minutes later. But I'm still very happy with my race, and Ryan earned every win he got this weekend. Race strategy is very important, and he's someone who has excellent tactics.
Yeah, absolutely. And then 2 cherries on top, 2 team races, which we see a lot of like the really good athletes doing it. It boggles my mind of getting the timing to work, because I know that they kind of like overlap the races. Which went out first? What was your team? How was it competing with, Jalisa is like known as like one of like the really good ninjas around. Like, how did it feel to compete against all these awesome women?
It was a bit scary, to be honest, because I know that they are better ninja athletes than me. We worked out with Jalisa in 2 different ninja places in Colorado, and just like seeing her swinging from bar to bar, and it's just like crazy. I can't do that. Yeah. I wish I could do that. But it's a different course. I knew like I had actually a chance. So yeah, I just had to pull myself together and at least try.
Great way to wrap up the weekend though, huh? Like, how did it feel to take first in that competition?
Unreal.
Yeah.
I didn't understand it at first because I didn't like imagine to be first.
People are bonded by those very tough experiences. The military is somewhat the same way. Clearly, you're not fighting for the person on your left and right in OCR, but those bonds are shared on those commonalities. And when you look at fitness and competition, especially in the combat arms like I am in the infantry, everything's about, can I shoot better? Can I shoot quicker? Can I move faster? Can I do this medical aid task? Or can I shoot a mortar closer to the target? Well, all those things that drive healthy competition to make us better in the military as professional soldiers in OCR, same thing. An age group or capability, there is no limitations, just like in the Army. They don't care how old you are in the Army. Did you shoot better? Was your PT score better? Are you moving faster with the rucksack? Well, OCR is the same way. Even though we have these categories, we're still out there competing against each other at the end of the day, and we want to know, who's better. And at the end of it, most of us were able to come together, and we're warriors on the OCR course, but good friends at the finish line.
We always try to look at performances. We like to see the way the obstacles function, and then I'm pretty critical with myself over what we did right and what we did wrong. So I think the event was smooth. I'm happy with the obstacles we put off. The Mutterhorn slide was one of the most impressive engineering things we've ever done. Derek, who's on my team, spent a lot of time speccing that out, working with safety engineers and things of that nature to make sure that we were doing it right. But that was a massive achievement and really cool to see go off. The biggest learnings for me were around optimizing things like penalties on course and the way we pair them with obstacles. That's a big one for me when I look at how we optimize and we, get more consistent with the difficulty we're putting out there. I guess what I'm saying in a lot of words is I think the penalties were too easy or not paired appropriately. So we like to get creative. We like to do different things, but over the course of a race like World's Toughest, it becomes increasingly either necessary to do penalties because you're failing or tempting because completing an obstacle is extremely tiring.
But I saw that the Mexican guy have too much distance. And for me, in my head, I know that I win the championships. Donc, I finished the race, but very, very smooth. And I'm very happy in me, but nobody tell me you have won the championships. It is no reconnaissance here. It's difficult for me because you don't have official ceremony for that. I return back to my home and don't have trophy. I have nothing of this victory. It's important for me to have gratification. Donc,
yes.
I don't know. I'm a little bit sorry of that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's upsetting because it's the time in training, the time in traveling, the money to travel. And you did a lot. You deserve much more recognition for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just got to know, are you mentally prepared for what's about to happen for this next 24 hours? Come on, with a little confidence, are you prepared? Excellent. Now I need to know, do you believe in your reason? Do you believe in your mission? Do you believe in your why? Awesome. Now I want you all to look around the people in here. Look around. This is Mutter Nation. Do you have confidence with the Mutters to the left and to the right of you? Now this next one is delivered from a good friend of mine. A good friend of mine wanted me to ask you all a question. In fact, it's a good friend of ours. And he wants to know, are you going to give your best out there on that course today? And he doesn't want that to be your settled best. He wants your honest best. Will you give your best out there on that course today? He says, you do that, That's going to make y'all better. And that's going to make all of us better. And we will see you at the finish line. How are we feeling, Mother Nation?
And that's what I wanted to give you guys credit for, because this is not an easy event to put on. Clearly, I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but it's very impressive that you were able to do this. You also spoke about increasing the difficulty of penalties. How do you think that went?
Well, I think we succeeded with that as the goal. But, I was really pleased. It's so interesting. We talk to all of the athletes throughout the event, and we get feedback in real time. And I think the thing I heard most commonly was that it was incredibly hard, and that made the achievements worthwhile. So handing out 50-mile bibs, 75-mile bibs, those runners ran way more miles than that. Maybe they've gotten those bibs before, but this year they told us was the most meaningful because they had to work that much harder to earn it. And that's what it's all about. It's not about making the event easy enough that everyone can hit a perceived achievement. It's that they worked so hard that it was all worth it. And that's ultimately what brings people back next year, even when they're beaten up, even when it's super hard, that they feel like they achieved something and found out something about themselves. And I think we did really great at helping to deliver that.
And then as the brains, what went into choosing the obstacles? When did you realize that you took fourth instead of third?
After I crossed the finish line. It was pretty brutal, I'm not going to lie.
And now your goal was the podium, right?
My goal is obviously my goal is every year to have fun. Like, actually, my mantra this year was smile and have fun.
Yeah.
Enjoy the community. But obviously, like every race, like when you're competitive, you want to win.
Yes.
You want to win, you want to get on the podium. So it was rough, I'm not going to lie.
But it was emotional, and to see you cross the finish line and see the range of emotions flow through your face, and you get upset with yourself, and then you go over to him and you shake his hand, and then you go off and you get upset again. But the moment that you're clearly upset, but you shook his hand, goes to show your character.
Yeah, so I actually trained with Joe probably about 3 weeks before World Toughest Mudder. We actually went on the Noob Sanity course for 10 hours in the pouring rain.
So that's how you knew.
So I met Joe, and I already knew Matt, but I met Joe. He was a great guy. He actually, of all the people that I ran with, including Jared Newbie.
Yeah.
He was the one that actually stuck with me the whole time. And I remember thinking, man, this guy's going to do good. He was pouring rain. It was 30s. And he was he never complained. I was he's young. He's got appetite. He's going to do well. So he's a good guy. And honestly, in the moment, we're all competitors. We all, we want to win. But at the end of the day, we're all friends. We're all family. That's what I love about this sport. It's not like other sports where there's true, animosity between athletes.
Right.
Everybody loves each other.
Yeah.
We friggin' battle it out there on the course. But
before I graduated, I don't know, something popped up on my news feed about the Appalachian Trail, and it was you know what? I hike, I do camp a lot, and this is my new challenge in life. I didn't really want to go back to work right away, and I think everybody in life should challenge themselves to a new degree of level of whatever they want to do, mentally, physically, work, promotions. I'm more of the physical aspect. So I've done all the things in racing. I've done the sprint, gone to super, gone to the beast, did the ultras, did the toughest, did the world toughest mudder. I'm what is next? COVID kind of killed my racing ability. It's been 2 or 3 years, and it's I enjoyed it. I went back a bit, and I didn't have as much fun as I used to. So it's okay, time for a new challenge, time for a new goal. And 6 months of venture on the Appalachian Trail was it.
Yeah. So I've heard of other people taking on this challenge before, and it sounded amazing. It's one of those bucket list things for a lot of people that most people may not get around to. So I have some stats here that you rightfully bragged about on a post saying 25 podiums, 14 world champions, and 50 top 10 finishes, which is very impressive coming from one gym or one community. How does that make you feel as more than just a business owner, but a community builder?
I have such a sense of pride in those numbers. And obviously, I'm a lead by example kind of leader. So even if I didn't podium or win 5 times, if I was flirting with third place in a couple races and our team did that, I would still be just as ecstatic because these guys bought into what I was teaching them. They bought into me. They bought into the vision of our team and the support amongst all of them. I couldn't be at everyone's side for 3 straight days for every single age group, for every single race, and get myself ready to race and recover and fuel and this and that. Our team was 3 deep at every single fence. Oh, hey, who's next? Okay, cool. We got to get over there. We got another guy going. We had 2, 3, 4, 5 athletes at everyone's side. And I was there as much as I could be, but Jess was there.
And I was just doing my thing and I did the last obstacles also without problems. And kind of got my spear there. A bit afraid of that. I could, potentially ruin the race there. So I was really happy when I got that spear. Then I knew I had still about 1 minute-ish to Pavel there, so I knew I was safe there. Yeah. Then past the finish line, boom. Best race ever, I think. Yeah.
How did it feel? What was the feeling of crossing that finish line, knowing that you took a podium on the Spartan World Championship beast?
Yeah, it was. I couldn't really believe it. I knew I just did it, but it was just like whoa. So because I've been chasing that spot for a while.